Hey guys, how's it going? Happy Friday. And way more important than just being a Friday, it's Christmas. So, Merry Christmas, everybody. We ended up getting a white Christmas here in Michigan after all. It's about 25-mile-an-hour winds, snow blowing sideways. So, when I'm done with this stream, I think I know what I'll be doing. It'll involve plowing and salting. So, I hope you guys are all doing good. I hope you guys had a very Merry Christmas. You were able to get together with your families and just hang out. Hopefully, it was as normal as possible. And for those of you where your Christmas sucked and you couldn't see your family, for those of you that are sick right now, God bless you. And I hope that it gets better for you much soon. You know, they say this is going to be the new normal. We need to reject this new normal. America's never going to be a communist country. And I'm not saying that to complain. I'm saying that to encourage you guys. So for all of you out there that been reading the chat a little bit, for some of you, it didn't quite go so well today, but that sucks, but we just got to move on and we have to keep fighting. And that's actually what I'm going to talk about tonight. We've had a few things going on in the last couple of weeks, to say the least, with the firearms industry involving the ATF. Yeah. What about that video I put up earlier this week where the local Columbus boys got into it with the Fed boy? Ooh, that was interesting. The comment section's a really good read on that one, by the way. We've had some victories this week. And there's some things that still aren't going so well. And that's how I'm going to start off this stream, because a lot of people have reported on the fact that the braces, the arm braces, SB braces, whatever you want to call them, right? The ATF is going after them. Now, before then, let's back up. Trump had put out an executive action telling the ATF, you're not allowed to be doing any more of these executive actions on gun control. It needs to stop. And with him being their boss, that was a direct order. However, although things could get real interesting in the next couple weeks, according to the AP and YouTube, hi, Susan. I'm not happy with Susan right now, by the way. Susan Wiki. They say Biden has won the presidential election. They also say there was no evidence of anything else. All right. So with that said, we have the deep state, and they sit in Washington. They call it the swamp. And they sit there and they're literally just trying to, in my opinion, destroy our country and take away this form of government, which was founded on of the people, by the people, for the people, right? And the government never gave us our rights. Our rights are God-given rights. These are natural rights, laws of nature, right? That they preceded the United States government. They preceded George Washington. They preceded all of us, and certainly preceded these three-letter agencies. But unfortunately, they think they can take our rights, and they actually can if we let them, because these old pieces of parchment paper that are out there, they're great. They're beautiful documents. I love them, and they should be cherished. But without we, the people, there to stand up and fight back, they're just pieces of paper at the end of the day. And there's a lot of people that say the Constitution's a living, breathing document, and it should change. Even though I would note in the Declaration of Independence, it said that a government shouldn't change on light and transient causes. So let's back up to where we're at here. The ATF, they believe, the people that are running that bureau, which, by the way, is an unconstitutional bureau, in my opinion. It was never even enacted by a law of Congress. Shall not be infringed certainly doesn't even allow it to exist, but it is there. It is there, and a great many dogs and people have been proof that they're there. If you guys know what I'm saying. They believe that they're going to have a new boss soon. So they came in and they said, well, we're going to start reclassifying. They called an attempt to clarify with the arm braces, right? Which was a big slap in the face, because even reading that required the listener to be much dumber than the speaker. Clarify? As they sat there to try to confuse us and scare us and make everything so convoluted. By the time you were done reading it, you were definitely way more confused than when you started, right? And they said they were going to reclassify and put them on the National Firearms Act registry. You guys remember all that. And then we got involved. We, the people, stood up and said, no, enough's enough. We're sick of this. We're sick of this. 50, 60,000 people went in and left comments. And that was just a couple days into the public comment period for that ATF proposed letter. Also, people called their congressmen. And every time we get on here and say, call your congressman, let them know. Now, can we trust all of our congressmen? No, of course not. But we have one little leverage over them. These people want power. They want perpetual power, and they want to get reelected. So when they find out that enough of their voting constituents are going to fire them and elect somebody new, sometimes they actually listen to us. And every time we do these videos and you guys talk to your friends, what do people say? Don't even bother getting a hold of them. Don't even bother doing anything. It's not worth it. Nothing will ever become of it. Well, I would know this time it actually worked. And there was a letter put out by 90 members of the United States House of Representatives. There were millions of phone calls that were made to all these reps throughout the country. And it's not that they let us win because they were being nice to us. We shouldn't think any more highly of the ATF now than we previously did. However, I'm going to say this, and this is going to be contrary to what some people are saying, but it's how I truly feel. We just had a victory against the ATF and against the government. We literally just won, guys. And we can be happy about that. And we should be happy about that. And most importantly, we need to be encouraged about that. And that in and of itself is completely true. They were literally getting ready to take these arm braces and classify them under the National Firearms Act with many, many extra restrictions. Can't cross state lines. The courts have actually decided, and namely Heller, that if something falls into this National Firearms Act, particularly dangerous weapons is what they call them, they're actually not protected by the Second Amendment, at least not equal to common use. Now, I hate the common use. I'll get into that in a minute, but they were literally taking a huge stab at the firearms that are mobile, they're small, they're compact, that if we were to need to assemble this militia and fight off the tyrannical government, as the Declaration of Independence orders us to, when we're under absolute despotism. They were trying to take all of this stuff that we could actually use effectively to potentially throw off the chains that bind the people under a tyrannical government. They were trying to heavily regulate them and get rid of them. And as of right now, we have stopped that. But wait, you don't get it 2A EDU? I already know what people are saying right now because they say it a lot on here. You don't understand. We can't celebrate this. We can't be happy because they're just going to come after them later. Well, hold on a minute. Here's what I'm going to assert. We can be happy that we had a victory, and we can be encouraged, and you should be encouraged, and you should be happy about it. Why? Because we need to have some positive energy sometimes. You know, when you fight a war, you actually get happy when you win a battle, right? You know, a lot of people, it seems like lately, they're happy with losing. They want to lose. They always want to be the underdog. Not me. I want to win. And if we can win a battle, even though, no, of course we didn't win the war. Of course they're coming after our braces later. Of course they're going to come after almost everything. In my opinion, if he were to get put in office some way or another, the Harris-Biden administration probably wants all of our guns. I totally get it, guys. I totally get it. We haven't won the war. This is just the start. But what would you rather do if you're fighting in a war? You're starting a war. There's these two. There's the people versus the government, for lack of a better word. Do you want to start off at a loss and start off down, and have to dig yourself back out of the hole? No, I'll take a win to start off with. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Because we are definitely going to have many more battles coming up, probably very soon. And we have many battles that are continuing right now. Keep in mind, the thing that started all this recent precedence for executive banning, the bump stock ban, that's still being litigated in court. Okay? And I'm still supporting GOA and Firearms Policy Coalition, who are actively still suing for bump stocks right now. Did you guys know that? That's actually not over with yet. So we're still fighting that. The whole P80, these kits that they raided, took records, confiscated. People are wondering, well, are they going to go to all polymer 80 firearms? Well, as far as 80%ers, that's one of the top two things that Harris and Biden, when they met with the ATF, that they said they were after. Are they going to be going after home builds altogether? Actually, in my opinion, yes. I do believe they're going to go after that. Are they going after what they call an AWB? Of course they're going to go after that. There's many, many things they're going to do. And what I don't understand is this. And I'm offering this for encouragement, guys, because I think a lot of you are probably in the same boat as me. Like, what's up with this so-called gun community and 2A community? Why are people mad that we just won something? I don't know. I don't know how to make other people happy. I just know if I'm happy, I can reflect that upon the people that I care about and I hang out with. Look, we can be happy when we have a victory, guys. And we can take that positive energy and motivation it gives us when we actually win at something and use that to give us strength for the next knockout, drag out brawl that we're going to have. And even the other ones that are going on right now. People say that they did this as a bait and switch just to distract us. They let us win one to distract us so that we wouldn't care about all the other things. Well, if there's people out there like that, they need to get a little more courage and strength too. Because just because we win one thing, I say we take that positive energy and motivation and use that to start going after the other stuff that much harder. See that whole snowball rolling down the hill, collecting itself and getting bigger? That can go one way or another. It can either be the more stuff they start banning, the easier it is for them to keep banning. And that's what we often worry about. It's this whole domino effect. We call it slippery slope. And we call it that for a good reason, because every time they take something, they go for more, right? Like we've talked about this a million times. But can it work the opposite way too, where we stop them on this and then take that momentum that we got, positive energy, get motivated, go out there and start getting a hold of your congressman like crazy on the P80s. Tell them, no, we're not going after home builds. These have been legal to build since the inception of this country. This is part of this well-regulated militia that's necessary to the security of a free state. And we're not going to put up with that either. I mean, if we just had 90 congressmen get on board and sign this letter and they start getting calls, this is the call that my congressman Tim Walberg signed that letter. He was one of the 90 people that opposed braces. Thank you very much, sir, for standing up for the Second Amendment, for protecting our rights. That's why you were put in office, and I appreciate that. Now, that's not the only issue we have. We need you to look into stopping them from arbitrarily trying to reclassify and confiscate these P80s. Okay, well, we'll definitely look into that. We're not aware of that right now. So, in my opinion, we can take this ball and we can start rolling it the opposite way, okay? Now, I get it. There's always going to be the naysayer out there that they're like, I cannot chew gum and walk at the same time, so neither can you. But I think a lot of the people that watch my channel, you guys are really smart people. I read all the chat, every stream when it's over. I read all the comments you guys give me, and I thank you for that because that's what gives me the encouragement to go on. Look, I can chew gum and walk at the same time. I'm taking this positive energy I got from us, quote, beating them in this small little battle, this skirmish, whatever you want to call it. This letter right here. I'm going like gangbusters right now, guys. Are you kidding me? I haven't forgotten about the bump stock. I'm not even nearly done talking about that. I talked about it last week, the week before. I did dozens of videos on it a couple years ago. Now I'm still talking about that. I'm definitely even more motivated right now to talk about the P80 situation. What about these? They call them solvent traps where they're going in. There's this really big YouTuber, and he seems like a really cool guy that does diesel tuning. He works on his diesel pickup truck. The fact that the ATF came, and I should probably do a video on this if you guys aren't familiar with it. Just let me know here in the chat, and I'll take a peek and decide whether I want to do this video or not. But another channel, not even a firearms channel, although he's a veteran and he loves guns, he ordered cases of oil filters and fuel filters for his diesel pickup trucks, because that's what he does. And he was going to do tests on them. You know how people cut the filter in half and show you a cross section? The ATF showed up at his house to try to take these diesel fuel and oil filters, because that's what his channel does. And he has hundreds of thousands of subscribers. Not that it matters how many subs you have. I'm just saying it's a proven fact. This is a guy that's a legitimate, bona fide diesel pickup truck tuning and performance channel, right? So heck yeah, they're going rogue right now. But when you lose, when you just keep losing and losing and everything you do is lose, you know what that makes a lot of people do? They just keep complaining harder and harder on the internet, and they type and they type and they type in YouTube forums. And I appreciate all you guys' comments. If you guys just need to vent and leave negative comments about stuff, that's great. Do it. This is a place we can vent. But at the same time, I'm just sick and tired of losing. You know what I mean? I want to win for once. And if I win one thing, we win. You guys won. We the people won. That gives me positive motivation. I'm going to fight harder. And I'm not a veteran, but I study a lot of history. And that's why I'm so much into milsurps. I know a lot about different battles and wars in more of the modern era. Let's just say last 250 years. From the American Revolution forward, I study a lot of these. And there's always that decisive battle where when they win, they take that. And it increases the troops' morale. And then they live to fight another day. And they get the strength from that. Every time they defeat their enemy, they grab some of their powers, they feed off of it, and they get more powerful. How many of you that were in the United States Armed Services that actually saw time in war, that you guys had battles, right? How many of you were pissed off when you won a battle? That's a serious question I have. You know, we ran these guys out of the sandbox. They tuck-tailed and ran. We had a few casualties. God bless their souls. You don't want any, but they had many more, and we ran them off. How many people were mad about that? How many of you guys that have fought in active theater combat said, oh, man, I wish they would have just overrun us and killed all of us? I would hope nobody would say that they wanted that. But somehow when I read a lot of the YouTube comments and even some of the videos I've seen, it's kind of the impression that I get, that people wish the ATF would have just completely got rid of braces altogether so we could complain a little more. I don't know. There's a lot of negative stuff going on. And I would encourage you guys, and what I want you guys to do, now you'll do whatever you want, but I'd like to see you guys getting encouraged about a victory and finding strength in that. So that next time your friend says, no, I'm not going to call my congressman, I'm not going to write the letter, say, well, hold on, we just won this. Do you guys remember M855 ammo? They banned 7 and 6, and a lot of the AR guys thought it was funny. It's a whole AR-AK thing, but you guys know what I'm saying. But then when they went to ban the M855, they call it green tip, people stood up, much like they did against these braces, and much like this. There was a letter with a bunch of congressmen on it. I remember my representative, Tim Walberg, also signed that same letter. See, I keep track of this stuff, by the way, guys, and you should too. Look and see what your congressman's doing. Look and see what your senator's doing. They'll say whatever they want to get elected, but keep track of them. And I definitely keep track of mine. A lot more than you'd think. So anyways, we fought off the M855 ban. Yeah, we lost 7 and 6. Did I want to win both? Of course. So I think we need to do both. We need to both be encouraged while knowing. I mean, nobody's naive here, right? Of course they're trying to come after everything else. Of course they're going to try to come after braces again. But it's nice for once for them to be on the defensive. Now, I have this letter here. And it's not long. I'm just going to read a couple sentences that a lot of you have been kind enough to requote for me. I did the video on it. One more thing before I do. This just shows you. This kind of sums up what I've been getting at. I put out videos saying ATF is coming for the P80s, and they were, and they are. And that they went to a homeowner's house to say, forfeit it, or we'll come back, and hopefully your dog will be okay when we come back, right? For a small channel like this, those got a lot of views. A lot of views. I broke the story of that they were rescinding their reclarification, right? That we won. It got 1/60th of the views that they're coming for our guns videos do. So that just shows me, and it does. It shows me that people love to focus on the negative. And if you have a negative headline, that'll blow up 10-fold, 50-fold, 100-fold over any positive news. And this stream probably would be way more popular if I would have put something in the title that they're coming for your guns, which they are, but I'm not here to scare anybody. I'm here to encourage you guys and let you know that we can be encouraged when we should be, and that there's imminent fights and battles yet to come, and we need to use that energy and turn it right back against them. So this is a real short letter. It says right here, action, notice, withdrawal. I mean, really, that's all it needed to say to me, and I knew what was going on with it. Notice, withdrawal. Here's the paragraph that, and I appreciate everybody quoting this for me. I left the link to it in my description of the whole letter, but people felt the need they needed to share with this with me repeatedly. They said, hold on, 280, you're wrong. We didn't win anything. This letter doesn't say anything about. Well, let's read what it says. Upon further consultation with the Department of Justice and the Office of Deputy Attorney General, ATF is withdrawing, pending further Department of Justice review, the notice and request for comments entitled Objective Factors for Classifying Weapons with Stabilizing Braces. That was published on December 18th, 2020. It's pretty obvious what that means, guys. It means this one battle. Look, we chew gum and we walk at the same time. There's many more battles going concurrently, prospectively, right? Okay. People say, well, hold on, 2A EDU, you're dead wrong. All they said is they were closing the comment period. ATF is withdrawing, pending further Department of Justice review, the notice and request for comments. It doesn't just say the request for comments. It says the notice right here, the notice and request for comments. And you can't take out the part before the and, or you're just literally dishonestly quoting this. Literally, I have people re-quoting this from me and they go ... request for comments entitled. No, you can't do that. They're revoking the notice. By them revoking the notice, of course the comments are going to be removed because there's no more notice to comment on. And let me word this another way for people that are just getting into gun rights and don't understand how this works, because I've been involved in a lot of these letters for many years. These letters have always been a thing because there's a public statute that says if they're making an official rule changing, it's part of the rule changing process. This has to do with APA. We've talked about how this works in other streams recently. They have to have a 14-day public comment period or they can't make any type of binding rules. So just by the mere fact that they took down the public comment makes it where they no longer can promulgate any rules. But I don't know what else to tell anybody. So I just want to offer you guys encouragement because you may be getting a lot of the same types of comments from your friends or people you hang out with online saying they didn't do anything in this letter. Well, they actually did. So now they go on to say after that, as explained in the notice, the proposed guideline was not a regulation. The notice informed and invited comment from the industry and public on a proposed guidance prior to issuing a final guidance document. That doesn't change anything either. All they're doing here is stating the obvious. Yeah, of course the proposed guideline was not a regulation. Duh, like I just explained, it can't become a regulation until that 14-day public comment period is. So they're just stating the obvious there. This wasn't a regulation. We didn't get that far yet. But trust me, had it gone through the full 14 days, they came out, they read the comments, whatever. Whether they really care about what the comments say or not, that's besides the point. The fact is, we left a bunch of comments. The United States Congress got involved, and allegedly some other people within the Trump administration directly got involved. That's what actually makes the change, right? The fact that people actually care about it, that people are willing to fight for it, means more than like our exact words that we use. That's just my opinion. So of course it wasn't a regulation yet. We were only 3 days into the public and comment period when they took this down. They had to go through the whole entire thing. So whether Biden or anybody else comes forth here in the next weeks, months, years, and starts this all over again, is still besides the point that we won. So hopefully some of you guys are encouraged about that, because there is a lot of stuff going on that we really, really need to fight. I've seen a lot of people talk about polymer 80s, the P80, whatever you want to call it. And this is just going to apply to what they call so-called 80%ers, period. Yeah, this is a big deal. We really, really need to fight that. I don't know if it's more or less important than braces. I'm going to say equally, because when it says shall not be infringed, that's just them acknowledging a pre-existing natural right that they never gave us to begin with. And every time we let them infringe on one little thing, it makes it easier. They call it case law. They call it precedence, right? In other words, hey, you guys give us an inch, we'll take a mile. And in the inches that we've given them over the years, they've now taken miles. They've taken thousands of miles. That's why we're all so pissed off, right? So the 80%ers, look, first of all, they're not firearms. They're just not. We use 80%er. That's what the industry called it, because at a certain point, you kind of have to name something, right? Like it has to have a name. You can't just say, here, we're selling you a not a firearm. So for marketing reasons, they call them 80%ers, P80, polymer 80. Many companies make these products, by the way. There's some major problems with this. First of all, these are not firearms. They're just not. There's statutes. There's laws. all gun control, all gun laws are unconstitutional. Period. We should not have one single one. The National Firearms Act of 1934, unconstitutional. The GCA of 1968, unconstitutional. The Firearms Owners Protection Act, as amended with the Hughes Amendment in 1986, unconstitutional. The 89 ban, foreign import of assault weapons ban by George Bush Sr., completely and utterly unconstitutional. The 94 to 2004 Bill Clinton AWB, completely and utterly unconstitutional. The executive actions that Obama put in place that affected veterans' rights and people on Social Security's rights to own firearms, completely unconstitutional. Okay. Obama arbitrarily banning certain types of ammo, 7 and 6, unconstitutional. Banning the Saiga factory, one of the factories that made Russian AKs that we used to import very cheaply, great guns, by the way, unconstitutional. Donald Trump's Molot Vepr, arbitrary ban, completely and utterly unconstitutional. Trump's bump stock ban, completely unconstitutional on so many levels. It violates many of our God-given natural rights, way beyond even the Second Amendment. The takings clause, taking lawfully owned property without compensating people. I would say it's probably the worst one of all of them, but it's hard because they're all like tied for the worst. Yeah. And there's actually more that I probably skipped that are completely and utterly unconstitutional. All of it's unconstitutional. You know why? Because if the government gave us our rights, if they did, if the great George Washington, and he was great, he crossed the Delaware, way outnumbered, freezing to death, wrapping rags around their feet. During a pandemic, it was called smallpox, and it had a 40% mortality rate. So much worse than this current, whatever they call it nowadays that we have. It's not even funny. Great person. Let's assume these founding fathers were the best that ever lived. Here's the problem the government has. Even those people didn't give us our rights. And since they didn't give us our rights, they can't take them away. See, the Second Amendment doesn't give us gun rights. And I get it when people say, I support the 2A. Well, so do I. But no, all that is a prohibition telling the government, hands off. It shall not be infringed upon. That's what it says. And the why is that this well-regulated militia, that doesn't mean standing army. That's in contrast to a standing army. That would be necessary to the security of a free state. The founding fathers are just acknowledging that the right of the people to keep and bear arms was necessary to a free state and that it shall not be infringed. So they never gave us any of these rights. Whatever phone or computer or tablet or whatever you're watching this on, I didn't give it to you. I can't take it away from you, can I? I mean, I could end the stream and take the stream away from you right now, but you just go to someone else's stream or watch someone else's video. I didn't give it to you. I can't take it away. The government did not give you the Second Amendment, and they cannot take it away. Okay? And that even goes for all Americans, including felons, in my opinion. Because to be honest with you, there's many things that are felonies. I mean, supposedly Trump vetoed it. Thankfully, they just tried to pass a 5,500 page, 5,500 page law just the other day. There's so many laws on the books now. There's so many paperwork felons. There's so many people that are otherwise fine people. They got caught up and didn't cross their T, dot their I, that are felons that are prohibited. It doesn't say in the Second Amendment shall not be infringed unless you're a felon. Now, here's my argument. Because people are going to say, hold on, 2A EDU. And I'm glad you guys remind me of this, but let me continue. Somebody's so dangerous, they murdered 12 people. And if they were let out, it's guaranteed they'd murder 12 again, or they'd rape, or they'd do unthinkable, unconscionable things. Yeah. Do I want that person among me with a firearm if it's 100% certain that they're going to use it to kill, pillage more? Of course not, but that's actually just the minor details. I don't want that person among me at all. Now, if it's possible that somebody can become truly reformed where they're safe to be in society again, and they've been deemed no threat to society, is that for us to decide whether they get a second chance or not? I do believe in second chances, but these people that are such an imminent threat, these people are just short-circuited. They're wired all wrong. You can't reason with them like regular people. for lack of a better word, these people are animals, right? They're just beyond even human comprehension. Why are these people even allowed amongst us on the street? Lock them away? Throw away the key? Capital punishment. There's different options we can debate and discuss, but if they're so dangerous, why let them out? So no, I don't even think that the government has the right to infringe on anybody's gun rights unless they're just so crude and just so abhorrent that they can't be amongst us. Well, then they're not amongst us. So you can take away their ability to exercise these God-given natural rights. Sure. It's called lock them up, throw them away the key, firing squad, electric chair, whatever you want to call it. Those things are provisions that have been exercised throughout the history of this country. They shouldn't be out on the street. They just shouldn't be amongst us. Does anyone agree with me on that? Now, you can disagree all you want to. I totally get it. But I will tell you this. They always want to come after what they call the assault rifle. Air quotes, if you're listening. That's a BS term they misconstrue. That's what they call it, though. They always call it, we're going to put up an AWB. We're going to ban the assault weapons. Assault weapons, assault rifle, right? More people are killed with hands and feet every year, according to FBI statistic, than they are rifles. So I think we need to look at how we're treating criminals. Either get rid of them if they're just so bad they can't be reformed. They're just a demonic soul. Or if there is a way to rehabilitate people, rehabilitate them. I've done things wrong in my life, and I'm a good person. I'm not causing any problems. And a lot of these people are good people too that just messed up on something. They, like I said, many times just filled out paperwork wrong or wrong place at the wrong time. These things do happen. So, as I said, the government never gave us these rights, so they can't take them away, but they're sure as heck trying. And I just cited about a dozen different gun control things that they've gotten by with. So let's go back to these 80%ers. P80 is the one in the news. First of all, they're not firearms. Period. End of story. Okay. Now, maybe they're going to be someday. Maybe they won't be, because I actually was talking to some people recently. Some people just like to buy the parts kits and collect those. You guys are thinking, well, hold on a minute. Nobody just buys parts kits and collects them. Actually, I do. It doesn't happen to be these 80% kits, but I have many AK kits. Let me look over here. I can't touch, unfortunately. I see a couple Galil kits over there, a finished Suomi kit. Remember when those Polish PPS 43 kits were like $60 at Centerfire? A few of those sitting over there. And while I have a good number that are built into finished firearms by me and other people, I kind of like collecting the parts kits. They're a piece of militaria. They're an investment. You know, it's nice to see the original, even though it's cut up, unfortunately. So some people are just buying the kits and keeping them as kits. They're not even firearms. Well, ATF is called alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and then they added explosives on afterwards. So what's the point? How do they even have jurisdiction? That's my opinion. If it's not a firearm and you're an agency you're an unconstitutional agency that's there just to deprive people of their natural firearms rights, why do they even get a say in something that's not a firearm? So we could really just stop the argument right there, because it's preposterous right on its face. Now, go further into it and say, well, it's firearms related. Okay, I'll give you that. It's adjacent to and related to firearms. Very true. However, there's actually no federal law that prohibits making your own firearms. So they have no idea if people are finishing these kits and making them into firearms or not, right? But even if they are, that's not illegal. There's nothing wrong with building firearms, and people should build their own firearms. It's the American way, and it has been for a long, long time. Now they're going to come up with these stories and say, well, hold on a minute. They sold the kit to a felon. Well, I just got done giving my whole thing on felons. If he's that dangerous that he builds a P80 and is going to cause people harm, irreparable harm, whatever he's going to do, why is he even out on the streets to be able to do that? But I digress. I already covered my view on that. Some people are going to hate me for that view, but hey, it's just my opinion. That's a stupid analogy, saying that, okay, fine, a very small percentage of the people are doing something wrong, so we need to take it away from the good people. Well, hold on, ATF. There's a certain amount of air that we breathe every day. These same felons, these same terrible people, according to the ATF, and I'll admit some of them are terrible people. I'm not saying everyone's good out there. Please don't mistake my words on that. These are such terrible people, right? Well, they're breathing air that we breathe, right? They're walking around the streets amongst us, driving, sharing all the resources that taxpayers provide, that a lot of them provide. A lot of them are taxpayers too. A lot of them are not taxpayers. A lot of this stuff goes both ways. I totally get it. So just that whole somebody else messed up, somebody else did something, so it ruins it for everybody else. No. That's communist way of thinking. That's totalitarian, dictatorial way of thinking. Trying to get somebody afraid of this really small element. And because of your fear, because you're afraid of something, instead of just letting you stick up for yourself, like, okay, fine. I'll give you a perfect example. Felon, dangerous felon, just for this hypothetical, builds a Polymer 80, comes to my house or shop, and tries to cause harm against me, my family, tries to enter my castle. Blow him away. He's gone. Problem solved. He didn't cause any problems. He's gone. I mean, really? It's that simple. Allow us to properly protect ourselves. We'll take care of all the people that are coming after us. At least that's how it'd be. But no, they don't do that. They use fear. They say, well, for the children, for the women, for the kids, they always sit there and try to put people in these little categories, right? But what they fail to realize is this. They realize it. What they fail to perpetuate, because it doesn't fit their narrative, is this. There's way more guns, and it's not even close, that save lives and save good people's lives every year than people that use guns to take lives, right? But they won't tell you that. They'll say, well, if it could save one child, we need to ban these whole classifications of guns. All right. They make it sound black and white. And then when you say no, shall not be infringed, they say, oh, you don't care about the children? And that's a very dishonest way. And that's them trying to scare people and trying to demonize inanimate objects. And worse than that, they're actually trying to demonize you, who just wants to be left alone and protect yourself, your livelihoods, your family, your country, your friends and neighbors. They're demonizing you because they're saying just because this other sick, twisted, demonic, terrible, despicable person would do something bad, instead of just locking them up and throwing away the key, they want to take away your rights that were given to you by God. That's actually them telling you that now, since this other person's sick, twisted, and demonic, that you are too and you can't be trusted. And it's a huge put down. And it makes me angry, and it should make you angry. Now, does anger mean that we have to lose control of ourselves or get violent with people? No, of course not. But if it takes you getting a little bit angry, and it takes victories like what we had with the arm brace to be like, I'm ticked off, we won, now I'm really ticked off about these P80s, these 80%ers. Again, I hope that offers you the encouragement to do it. And I think it's okay to call your United States congressman and say, you know what? Appreciate what you did for the braces. Thank you for exercising the will of the people and protecting our God-given rights. Thank you very much, sir. However, I'm not done yet. Be as brief as you can, but you can tell them more than one thing in a phone call. Say, I find it to be completely and utterly, right? Completely and utterly just, I'm pissed off, despicable, whatever words you want to use. I'm trying to keep it family friendly, so I had to pause for a minute there. That you would think that I'm not responsible enough to create my own firearm and responsibly use it to protect and save lives. I think that's a perfectly acceptable thing to say to these public servants who clearly work for you. And I think it is okay to say, I'm offended. You seriously think that me, just regular old American Joe, God-fearing, country-loving patriot, you think I'm going to do something wrong because of something some scumball did? Screw you. No. You guys take care of the scumballs. We'll protect our own homes and leave us the heck alone. I've called my congressman's office and talked like that before. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. They want stuff serialized. They want everything serialized. They want everything put into these bound books. They're called 4473s. I've done videos on those. There's a new form now that makes it where all the information's on the front. It makes it way easier for them to scan in, grab these, and database them. Now, while there's a federal law that says they can't create a national firearms registry, In my opinion, these people don't always follow the law, and I'm sure they've got a much bigger registry than we'd ever dream of, and they're trying to fill it up as fast as they can. And the reason I think they are is because they already know that firearms that were commercially produced, Glocks, High Points, Skies, you name the company, they're found at crime scenes all over the country. And these were legally purchased firearms at one time, right? Yeah. They're not worried about getting guns off the street. What's getting guns off the street even mean? Of course there should be guns on the street. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. We can't have this well-regulated, which regulated doesn't mean regulation, by the way, like it does now. It doesn't mean confined, restricted. No. It means well-trained, well-armed, at the ready. A potent force is how they meant regulated at that time. You know, proper rank, organized, yes, but not controlled by the federal government. That's not what they meant when they said that. Of course we need to have guns on the street. How is this militia, we the people that are supposed to throw off a tyrannical government? That's what the Declaration of Independence says. How are we supposed to do that if they're all locked away in a safe? Or better yet, like Europe does. Worse yet, I should say, like Europe does. You can own a firearm and you have to pay all the taxes, all the permits, but it has to be kept at the gun club under lock and key. Oh, really? Really? Because when the tyrants are at your back door and there's an imminent threat that's minutes away, you're like, hold on, Mr. Tyrant. Hold on, Mr. Fed Boy, Jackboot, whatever you want to call him. Give me a couple hours. The gun club doesn't open until tomorrow morning. Let me go get my gun from there and see if they'll let me take it. No. That's not what a well-regulated militia means. And that definitely isn't why they made it a necessity to us remaining a free state, a free country. They want it serialized. They want to register all of them. And that's what this original letter that was just withdrawn, the good news I talked about earlier, they were trying to get everyone to take their pistols and put them on the National Firearms Act registry. They were saying they were willing to get rid of the $200 tax. They were going to forgo the tax. So in this case, they didn't even want our money. Can you imagine that? As much as the government wants our money, they were actually willing to forgo our $200 per firearm because they wanted a registry of who had them that much. And if they want it that much, it begs the next question. What did they have planned that's so bad that we would even think about needing to take up arms? That they had to know where all of them were at? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Now let's also look through history. Anytime countries have made people register all their firearms, where they knew where everyone was at, these have always led to confiscation, mass gun control. And you look at these same countries, Venezuela, Russia, the Soviet bloc, the Com bloc. Yeah. The Third Reich in Germany. You look at the conditions and all of the death and absolute despotism that was put on the people from the strong arm of the government. China, when Mao came to power, roughly 50 years ago, same thing, picked up all the guns. Mass starvation ensued. Camps, work camps, concentration camps, gulags. Look at China today with the minorities, the Uyghurs, shipped off in trains, making your Apple iPhone. These people don't have guns. Now, did the government know where they all were? Well, yeah, they knew where they all were to come door to door and pick them up because people had registered all of them and they knew where they were. So resist gun registration at all costs. While it's great that we have victories, and we do need to take motivation from these to fight bigger things and things that are going to keep happening, like they call it universal background checks, gun registration. But if it would save one kid, if it would save one life, well, hold on a minute. These people are criminals by nature that we're talking about here. So you're going to go in there and you're going to do something just totally abhorrent to young children in a school, hypothetically. Unfortunately, this has happened before. How many times has someone said, well, hold on a minute. I would go do this, but I can't because it's against the law that I didn't do a proper background check. How many of them said, well, I'm not worried about committing countless, dozens, hundreds of acts of murder. But I am worried about this other felony here that states that I didn't register. I didn't put my serial number engraved to the exact right size font. Never. And I mentioned schools for a reason, because these are already gun-free zones. And they walk right past the sign. See, they don't look at that as anything that prohibits them from doing anything, because laws are just pieces of paper. Much like I said, these founding documents, as great as they are, and they're pieces of paper, if we're not there to defend them, they mean nothing. People that care about them, that don't care about them, the other side, they don't care about the Second Amendment. They think it should be gone. They just ignore those words on the parchment. Same thing with these other criminals that want to do very bad things. They ignore all these little statutes. All it does is it affects the law abiding. These laws do nothing to stop criminals. They only affect law abiding, and that's the way it'll always be. And I hate to have to state the obvious, but it's true. Good people generally don't need laws, whereas criminals, by definition, don't follow laws. And that's where all of this becomes a conundrum. And I get it. It's an insult to my intelligence and your intelligence that we even have to be debating this stuff. But we do. We do. Because that's just how life on this earth works. They didn't give them to us. They can't take them away until they do. And if we let them take our guns away, and we let them take away any piece of our gun rights, they get by with it. Not because they're allowed to do it. Of course, they're not allowed to do it. But by de facto, if they just come and do it and nobody stops them, then guess what? They just done it, right? So yes, people that think that I'm happy about this, which I'm very happy about it, but that by me being happy with them, repealing their letter to reclassify braces, it says withdrawn right here. They withdrew it. That does not mean, and should never be construed as, and it shouldn't be for you guys either, that all of a sudden, just because you're happy about this, you no longer care about 80%ers, that you no longer care about bump stocks. No, of course I care about those. You can sit there, look, you can burn the candle at both ends for so long, but at the end of the day, and we get our encouragement from each other, many of us get it spiritually, from our God, whatever God it is that you worship. In my case, Jesus and the Christian God. And Christ was born today, so Merry Christmas to everybody out there. And that offers me a lot of encouragement. And there's many wars on many levels that we should keep and continue fighting. And when I get encouraged by something, I can only burn the candle at both ends for so long. Sometimes you're out there, you're plowing snow, you're up worrying, whatever you're doing. You just start to become unproductive. Your mind starts playing tricks with you. You're just tired. You get negative. Your physical health can be affected too, right? Sometimes you just need to go to sleep and get rejuvenated. That's how I look at this recent reprieve, if you want to call it that we just got. This is kind of like taking a nice little nap, but it feels good, and we need to do it. To have more energy and to have more focused, good arguments. Now, I hope it's not the time for that, and I don't want it to be, but even if we did have to fight again, Lexington, Concord Bridge, we need energy for that too. So I'm really happy about that. While I'm still ticked off about the 80%ers, the bump stocks, covered it in a whole stream. Look, guys, inauguration's on the 20th. According to the AP and Susan Wiki, who I'm not very happy with her right now, by the way, at all. They're saying there's going to be a new president. They said Joe Biden has won the presidency. I don't know. You guys, we'll find out, won't we? Dozens of pages of proposed gun control laws, and they said that if they can't get the Congress to enact, they'll enact it by executive action and just make it go through, just force it through, right? That sucks. Okay? But I'd rather start off with a small win and be happy about them withdrawing the braces. Just give me a little more energy and motivation to fight. I don't know, A through Z, just to put it bluntly, that's going to be coming up. There's probably nothing to do with guns and gun rights that they won't try to attack. if indeed the Associated Press and Miss Wiki herself are correct about what they have predicted, who they've endowed as our next dear leader, right? I don't know. I'm going to take a quick look at the chat here, see how you guys are doing. I just wanted to start off by, again, giving you guys encouragement, and we should be happy and take it very seriously, the impending threats that are definitely out there. What are you guys talking about here? You guys are wishing me a Merry Christmas. Thank you. I appreciate it. Merry Christmas, Terry D. Merry Christmas, Jake Widme. Chris Blake, Merry Christmas. Blue Girl NC, Merry Christmas to you too. Robble mentions the obvious. Says, my finger's a bump stock. There you go. But don't tempt them though, man. Because they might want to, you never know. They might want to say fingers now require a $200 tax stamp, or you have to lop it off. I know they cut off extremities, fingers and hands in some of these countries where they've come and confiscated all the guns. So I'm totally joking, but there's a little irony in that joke, isn't there? Joe Morgan, how's it going, man? He says, I just find a good night's sleep and the little things make life worth it and fighting for. Yeah, there's so many things. The moral of the story is I think we just need to be happy once in a while, right? VA Wolf, Merry Christmas, man. I appreciate all you're doing for the Second Amendment down there in Virginia. I had a viewer, for all you Virginia people, sent me an article that actually sounded a bit encouraging. Now, this isn't naive encouragement. Look, back to this. We can be happy, guys, and still fight. But it looks like maybe Northrum's given up on his AWB a little bit, and it doesn't look like it's the will of your state chambers. I don't know if you guys call it House and Senate there. I think it's called something else, but whatever. Your state House and Senate look like they don't have the will to keep going. Now, what's interesting about that in Virginia, it also explained in this article that there were a bunch of other gun control measures that were passed, and these were bad ones, scary ones. We're not happy about what's going on in Virginia with those things. But again, if we can get encouraged, all of you Virginians, and the whole country needs to watch Virginia. I know many of you guys don't live there, but we need to have each other's back in all of these 50 states. California too, all of them. One of my best friends lives in California, and I've learned a lot lately. There's a lot more patriots there than people think. Anyways, back to Virginia. They said that actually, since they put in these reasonable gun restrictions and measures, that's what the other side calls it, crimes have been going up ever since they did that. Violent crimes are going up. Duh. John Lott, look him up. He wrote a book called More Guns, Less Crime. If you haven't read it, you really should. More guns, less crime. The more good people that are armed and at the ready to defend themselves, family, liberty, country, the safer we are, the more we keep these violent thugs in check. Isn't that interesting? So Virginia passed gun control laws and didn't do anything to help crime. It made it worse. Go figure. It's an interesting article. If you Virginia people or anyone else is more interested, I could do a little standalone video on that because it's just stuff we already knew. It's just nice sometimes to see it in front of them where it's like, oh, look, that didn't work. Told you so. Told you so, right? All the localities are different. You guys have a lot of your individual fights that you're doing. State Assembly, VA Wolf's reminding me. Right on, man. Right on. You guys are talking about the Lynx. I have a Lynx. I showed that in a video recently. Lynx shotgun. Heck of a nice shotgun, actually. What's happening, Pillbox Bunker? How you doing, man? Always good to see you for sure. Chris Blake, two-way preservation, two-way protection. Yeah, these are good state laws. You know, we shouldn't need any laws to protect because the Second Amendment, that's the law of the land, and that clearly states shall not be infringed. But unfortunately, over the years, people in society have become too complacent. They've allowed courts to come in and make rulings on stuff that, in my opinion, they shouldn't have any jurisdiction over because there's nothing to interpret there. The right of the people. Okay. A right. We know what that is. And it says in the Declaration of Independence what rights are. And who gives them to you, by the way? Hint, it's not the federal government. It's not your state government. It's not the Virginia Assembly. It's not Gavin Newsom. It's not Gretchen Whitmer. We know what rights are, again, as prescribed in our very first founding formal document. The right of the people. Well, we know what people are. Like, literally, that's just, you know it when you see it. Duh. It walks on two legs, and most of them are idiots, but a few are smart, right? You guys are the smart ones. Okay. To keep and bear arms. That means to own it, possess it. Bear means to hold it, carry it, have it on you. Okay. Shall. We know what shall means. That means mandatory, right? Shall not be infringed. And infringed is like a very, very specific word too. Infringed doesn't allow like some things and maybe just a little bit and maybe a little bit more. No. Infringed means if the line's right here, and I can't do it because I'm not a scientist, but if there was a scientific measurement where it looks like my hands are equal, but it crossed the line 1/zillionth of a millimeter, that's actually an infringement. Have you guys ever actually sat and thought about the Second Amendment that way? You can, it's so short. You can literally, the first part's the why. Why do we need it? There's a comma there. Okay. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Every one of those words in there has a very crystal clear definition, and there's nothing to interpret whatsoever. Shows you how far we've come, which I guess is no surprise. I did it in another video in the last couple of weeks when Thomas Jefferson wrote a letter. 1787. It had been 11 years since they had penned the Declaration of Independence, and the Constitution was in draft state at that point. It hadn't been completely finalized yet, although it was just a couple months later, and they did end up finalizing the Constitution after he wrote that letter. He said, I can't believe it that we've already gone 11 years. He was writing his friend. I can't believe we've gone 11 years throughout these 13 states. That's a combined 150 years without any type of rebellion. And he was worried. He was worried that just 11 years after the Declaration of Independence, and the country had been formed, but we hadn't even had our Constitution fully written yet, almost. The Bill of Rights would come 4 years after that, 1791. He said, man, we're already losing it. I can't believe people haven't stood up yet. He said, let them take arms. Do you guys remember that part of the letter? He said, let them take arms. He said the 13 colonies, states, that had become states at that point, right? The Constitution hadn't been written yet. This is right in the transitional period. We're now transitioning from colonies into states. He basically said it's been 150 combined years. That's roughly multiplying 13 times 11. We've gone that far without any kind of armed rebellion. Let them take arms. And then later on in that same letter, he said, from time to time, the tree of liberty must be refreshed with the blood of patriots and tyrants. It's its natural manure. So we should be surprised in a way, but we really shouldn't be surprised at all. Because we have a government that was formed, and it's a beautiful way to form a government. It's often been called an experiment on self-governance, and I think that's the way to look at it. It is truly an experiment. Because we've never had a republic of the people, by the people, for the people. It's never lasted forever. Usually, as soon as its conception, it actually starts dissolving itself almost from the beginning. But here's the thing. So many of our forefathers, the original founding fathers, Jefferson, Adams, Hamilton, Madison, Ben Franklin, there's so many of them, John Hancock, Paul Revere, they did their part. Throughout the many wars, people have done their part, and I do thank God for all the veterans that are here in this chat tonight. And seriously, thank you. You guys have done your parts to fight. A lot of you lost friends, and that's like totally enough. So don't take what I'm about to say the wrong way. But unfortunately, that's not enough. It's never enough, is it? We have to do it right now. Right now, this tree of liberty was planted. And it's this beautiful thing, but just like all trees and plants, it needs manure. And Thomas Jefferson talked about that. It needs fertilizing, unfortunately. So, yeah. I find a lot of encouragement from the founding documents, and I look at them and I say, look, this prescribes a way out. This prescribes what we are to do. And this victory also gives me encouragement, but that doesn't mean that I don't recognize even Thomas Jefferson before. This is what we need to take into account and not just feel totally hopeless and helpless. Before the Constitution was completely finished in its final draft state, before it was codified, right, into law, he was already seeing some things that bothered him after 11 years. And that's what it is to be a constitutional republic and to strive for liberty. Liberty doesn't mean you're always going to be safe. Liberty certainly doesn't mean that the government's just going to provide everything for you. Scariest things you can hear is I'm from the federal government and I'm here to help. And that should scare you because they weren't put here to help you. They actually weren't. Wow, that's kind of shocking for me to say that in this day and age. The government wasn't put here to help you and you're buying you free stuff and giving you checks. No, the government was put here, instituted among men to protect our core God-given natural rights from being infringed upon. That's the only reason they even existed. Because in the Federalist Papers, they said if men were angels, we wouldn't need any government at all. But as men are not angels, and men are not angels, so they knew that if they just literally had no government, it would be impossible to have a complete state of anarchy where everybody's just doing their own thing peacefully. And we'd all love it if we could just do our own thing. But then there's always going to be that person that tries to take somebody else's rights away from them to use it for their advantage. So they instituted a government, and they put that government in place to protect these rights that had pre-existed the United States government and any government that's ever been formed. These rights have always existed. It's what it means to be a human being, a sentient being. But they knew that people would come after each other's rights. And they do. And regular citizens come after each other's rights all the time. And they still do right now, and they always will. But this government was not created for the government to come after our rights and take our rights. And the government's only allowed to exist to the consent of the governed. And maybe that's the problem. Too many people have consented to the government and saying, well, government, we want a free cell phone. We want a check. We want this. We want that. And they say, well, that's all right. We can now shut you down and shut down your business. But don't worry, we're going to reimburse you and pay you for it. It's interesting, isn't it? Now, I get some of this stuff. What happened first, the chicken or the egg? People will say, because they already shut us down, now we need them to reimburse us. Okay, I get that. But why do we even get to this point where there was a quid pro quo with the government? I can talk, I promise, guys. There should be no quid pro quo. It shouldn't be, all right, the government will give you this, but we're going to take this. Or we took this first, now we'll give these crumbs back to the people. No, this government's supposed to only govern at the consent of the governed. And I know I read it a lot, but I think I'm going to need to read the intro to the Declaration of Independence again, because this has a lot to do with what needs to keep us motivated right now. And it actually has everything to do with the ATF and what they're doing with these P-80s. And they may have backed off now with the braces, but what they'll probably do inevitably again with those. VA Wolf for the super chat. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it, dude. I'm out here hanging out with you guys. I certainly don't do this for the money, but it does help. I am forgoing some work right now to do this, but I want to do it. In Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. There it is right there. These are natural laws of nature's laws of God. Now, look, guys, this is the United States of America, the First Amendment that I totally cherish along with all of them. Freedom of religion. For me, it's the Christian God that gave me these rights. That's who I believe created me. That's who will take me with him when I die. Freedom of religion. If you believe it's something else or somebody else, okay? Or actually, if you believe in nothing at all, that's fine. That's who gave you your rights. Unless you believe that George Washington, or Barack Obama, or President Trump, or whoever, or Gretchen Whitmer, unless you believe they actually created you. The moral of the story is this: they did not give you your rights. And that's literally how this country was founded, right there, right at the beginning, to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. We're going to hear this again, this whole creator thing. That they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights. Unalienable, that means you can't separate them. That means they literally belong to everybody. Not like everybody minus like one or two or a couple million. No, unalienable. These belong to literally everybody, endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that amongst these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, if you have those three things, do you really need anything else? If you really think about it. But it says amongst these, it's those not to be limited to, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And this is where I was just talking about it. What is the government? Well, they tell us right here. It's pretty simple. I think a third grader can understand this, but they don't want you to understand it. Why don't they want you to understand this? Because when the people fear the government, there is tyranny. But when the government fears the people, there's liberty. We can all understand what this says. They just don't want us to know about it. They want us to forget about it. They want you to be scared. And we shouldn't be scared. I'm not scared. And we need to encourage each other. That to secure these rights, it does not say to give us these rights. It says that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it. There you go. That's what it says. Or to abolish it. And to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. It doesn't say where the government will decide what's going to make you safe or make you happy. This is quite the opposite. This is what the people will decide is most likely to affect their safety and happiness. And then it talks about how we shouldn't just change things on a whim, right? So I'll read on. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light or transient causes. So we don't just change the government every day as the winds flow, right? That's just called instability. And they acknowledged that right off the bat as they were separating from the king, from the monarchy, forming this great republic. They asked him right after this country was formed, right? A woman asked Franklin and said, "What have we? A monarchy or republic?" He said, "A republic if you can keep it." And that's all of you watching it too, by the way. The fight's never going to stop. And it says, governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. And accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind is more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. And I've noticed that too. People say, even in the gun community, all the time they say, well, hold on a minute. I'm a 1911 a guy. 1911, 2 world wars. Well, yeah, of course. It's an awesome firearm. It's the epitome of American bravery, fighting off tyranny in the whole world. But that's besides the point. They say, I'm a 1911 guy. It's not on the ban list. Screw it. That's my favorite gun. As long as I can have mine, doesn't really matter. So to them, it's sufferable. As long as they can still have what they want, they're not too worried about it. We call these people Fuds and many things, and there's a lot more of them than we'd like to think, but they're out there. Trust me. So people aren't going to right themselves by abolishing if they're accustomed to it. As long as people can have just a little bit, like, all right, shut down my business, lock me in the house, do this, do that. Oh, you're going to send me some crumbs, a little bonus check. Oh, well, maybe then. I think that's what they predicted right here. And it just depends how bad people think it is, because it continues. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. We see a lot of despots in rule right now in this country. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government, to provide new guards for the future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. Then they start listing them. That's how this country was founded. So, yeah. Now, we've come a long way, right? The fact that we even have an ATF right now, and the fact that we even have to argue over this stuff, but that is literally what America is. And it probably will become against the TOS to even read this document much longer, but I'll read it as long as I still can, because it does provide some encouragement. It provides some different methods, and it reminds us. And that's the main thing we need to constantly be reminding our friends when they say, well, hold on a minute. The government gave you the Second Amendment and gave you the right to keep and bear arms. So, of course, the government can impose reasonable restrictions. And then when you come back and you say, no, the government can't infringe, it says shall not be infringed. And then you can go further and say, well, hold on. The government never gave this to us. They were acknowledging pre-existing rights, God-given rights, laws of nature, endowed by our Creator. Well, what's that? Prove it to me. Well, there it is. It's right there. It's in the Declaration of Independence. And then some of them will come back and say, well, hold on a minute. That's just the Declaration of Independence. It's so extremely old. It means nothing. And they'll say, I don't acknowledge that. That means nothing. And then that's where you're actually at the true root of the problem. That's when they're actually admitting that they don't want to be an American. And it's up to you how you talk to other people. But that's when you could, if you wanted to, look at them and say, well, then you reject America and you're un-American. Because that's actually what it is. Any of these people that reject this and say, well, hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. We were given gun rights by the First Continental Congress. No, we weren't. No, we weren't. And they're not even gun rights, by the way. The right to keep and bear arms. Yes, that includes all different types of knives, nunchucks, balisong, all these things that are banned in all these states. It includes pitchforks. It includes torches. Whatever arms that the people decide are necessary to throw off such tyranny, as it talks about in the founding document. Do you guys ever form your arguments that way with people? Or maybe it's just not worth it. I get it. I'm not encouraging you guys to be confrontational, but that's really what they're saying. When they try to say, well, the government gave us their rights. Our rights are created by the Second Amendment, they'll say. What an un-American thing to say. What an un-American thing to say. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too old-fashioned. Maybe I'm just too old school. But I believe that the Declaration of Independence is what started this great experiment on a republic, a constitutional republic. Democratic tendencies in certain ways, but we're not a democracy. Don't ever forget that either. I believe these founding documents actually mean something. That's the essence of what this country actually is. And anytime they try to do some new classification, blah, 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 that's an encroachment and an infringement when we run them back. And they have to retreat just a little bit. Even if it's just for them to gain strength and get us harder, we need to be happy and get motivated and gain our strength in the meantime so we can keep fighting. Because I'll say it again, the government did not give us any of our rights, but they're sure going to take them away, only if we let them. And unfortunately, we've let them do a lot more than what I can really believe. That's actually the thing. I'm shocked that they would do all this in one sense, but that doesn't really shock me at all. I'm actually just shocked that not enough people are even care or even worried about this. Now, 57,000 letters, 60,000 letters, no doubt. Tons of phone calls to the Congress, the 90 congressmen and women that wrote this letter. It's awesome. But there's 100 million gun owners in this country. So I think it should offer us encouragement. You can have a buddy that's into guns, and you'll find sometimes that, yeah, they're a gun guy, gun girl, but they're actually not really too much of a patriot, and they're totally willing to just give up everything as long as up until they try to take theirs away. And then they're worried about it. I get it. And you guys know the people you're talking to better than I know them. I don't know who you're talking to at all. Everyone should be approached a little different way, but I think it's okay to remind our friends of that. Hey, look, dude, it's over our head. Or look, chick, if you're talking to one of your girls, whatever you call your people, okay? Say, look here, you know, we're looking at this all wrong. We shouldn't be trading this for that, this for that. No, all of this is unconstitutional. It's all illegal. The government didn't even give this to us. And when people start thinking that way, then it no longer matters if they own a brace. They'll just fight for it because they're just fighting right versus wrong. They're fighting to keep our country, our republic, if we can keep it. And they'll no longer start saying things like, well, I don't have a bump stock. Those are dumb. Those waste too much ammo. And I think maybe that's what I'm trying to, offer you guys encouragement tonight. I think maybe that's where some of us have kind of, I don't want to say we've done anything wrong, but maybe we've missed the boat a little bit. Right now, people are looking at this all as superficial. I paid $100 for this brace, so they can't take it from me. But then the people that don't own braces are like, well, I don't care about that. Same thing with these polymer 80s and all these other things. People are like, well, I don't have that. I've literally had, guys, dozens of comments when I talked about the whole P80, probably hundreds of comments, actually. They're like, I don't care. Let them pick those up. Polymer guns are junk. I only shoot steel-framed firearms from my cold, dead hands. And it's like, oh, really? Huh. Maybe all those gun owners need reminded a little bit that, look, dude, it's not about that. Like, this goes so much over your head, my head. Obviously, if it goes over George Washington's head, then it obviously goes over 2A EDU or any of you people that are leaving comments heads. No, these rights pre-existed everything. And once they can start infringing on the rights, that's where the snowball starts to go down the hill. And eventually they're going to take what you hold dear too. So yeah, that's why I'm really proud of you guys. I really thank everybody. Seriously, I'm a brace owner. I own these braces. Even if I wasn't, I'd fight for them just as hard. It doesn't matter. So I can look at that from both sides of the same coin. If I didn't own it, I'd fight for it. I also own it and I enjoy it. I want to thank you guys for offering the encouragement for me, and that the government's not going to try to take lawfully owned property, that they're not going to try to take rights away they didn't even give us. So I really do appreciate it, guys. All of you that got involved. And let's offer this as encouragement to get more friends involved, because I think a lot of gun owners are still with the whole, like I just said, I don't care about a polymer handgun. Now, these people are kind of dumb, because if they really knew what was going on, and you can remind them of this, maybe don't call them dumb. I'm just saying, maybe you should call them dumb. You guys are all going to be judges of, how you should talk to your friends. They have 80% 1911 frames too. They have 80% aluminum AR lowers too. America's most common rifle. So I think it's kind of ironic when all the guys get in there. Good. Get all those stupid polymer guns off the street. Polymer guns are junk. Glocks are junk. I hate Glocks, they'll say. I'm like, oh. Whew. It'd be easy for me to just say, you Fuds don't even deserve your rights. But I'm not going to say that, because as I just said, if the founding fathers that wrote these great documents, if they're not the ones that gave them their rights, certainly I didn't give them their rights. And as much as it gets me mad that they're willing to just throw our rights away because they like a particular metallurgy of gun over another, I just have to sit there and shake my head and say, all right, we're in trouble. All right, let's try to, you guys know what I'm saying. I don't know. Let's get a vote in the chat here. What ticks you guys off more? A Fed boy, ATF, whatever, or a FUD? I'll let you know my answer in a minute, because it's actually close. Right off the bat, it's like, well, of course I hate the ATF guy that's confiscating my guns more than the FUD. But actually, I think the FUD's even worse, because he's basically allowing them to. He's encouraging them to. He's saying, get all those Glocks off the streets. I don't like polymer guns. 1911. Now, again, he's so stupid. They make quote-unquote 80%ers of those, too. Mateo with the super chat, thank you. And thank you for reminding me. Leave me a thumbs up, guys, if you like the stream. Because the people that hated it have already left me a thumbs down. And it's totally free, and it won't cost you a penny. Another thing, too, with this being the Christmas season for many of us, other people, the holiday seasons, Hanukkah, etc., people have been buying a lot of stuff. If you do shop on Amazon, I have a link down in the description. You just click on the link, you go there, you shop. Now there's the Amazon store. If you see something in there I'm suggesting, that's fine. But if you literally just click on that link and then just go about your normal shopping like you always would, a small percentage does go back for the channel. So I encourage you guys to use it if you're already shopping on there anyways. It literally costs you nothing. It helps a little bit. And Susan's making it hard to do these channels. So any little bit of help will let me get more content on here. So, all right, let's see what you guys are doing. Let's see what's going on here in the chat. Len Holt says, Merry Christmas, everyone. Have a relaxed and safe weekend. Good night. And I encourage you guys to have the safest weekend. Completely relax. Take the motivation that we just got from this victory because, yeah, I think it's about to be SHTF as far as stuff that's going to be happening soon. On YouTube with the federal government, executive orders, 3-letter agencies, alphabet boys, everything. I think there's a lot coming. I really do. Let's see here. Cyrillus for Life says, Joe Biden will ban your guns. He promised he would, didn't he? That's one of the main things that he ran on. John Crump's here. How's it going, man? He says big changes are coming soon. And I have no doubt. And you're probably not talking in a good way, are you? Some people are talking about their internet cutting out. I know there's a large area right now in Tennessee and even up into Kentucky where I believe it's the AT&T service is out due to something that happened today. That I know something happened down there. I don't have enough information about it, okay? But I just don't have enough information. I've been trying to do a bunch of things today, and it's been Christmas. I know it's breaking news. I just don't know. But I know there's a lot of phones that are out because of it. C92 SFE, if felons shouldn't own weapons, then they should still be locked up. And I actually talked about that. Just because that's just how I feel, guys. You know, people get mad at me. No matter how you approach the whole felon guns thing, people are going to get mad at me. I'm not here to win a popularity contest. That's what I believe. They shouldn't be able to own guns because they're so violent, and there are really violent, bad people out there. I'll be the first to tell you that. Of course there are. Duh. Why are they allowed amongst us where more people are killed with hands and feet than they are with these, they call them assault rifles that they want to ban all the time, that Biden wants to ban, that Clinton banned for 10 years, that George Bush, the first one, banned the importation of and made us have to swap out parts and all this ridiculous stuff. Yeah, those that they're after. Why are they allowed amongst us with their hands and feet and improvised weapons and like all these millions of things they do that are going to make it where we're much less safe? But no, it's not about that. They want you to be afraid of these people. They want them on the streets. And I think that was proven under the Obama Holder administration. You guys ever heard of Fast and Furious? You ever heard of Agent Brian Terry, who actually is from Flat Rock, Michigan, a very small town that I worked in for years? So we don't have to, there's no conspiracy theory here. Of course the government wants violent thugs to have guns. They give them to them and sell them to them as proven. So think about that. It really makes you say, wow. Thanks for the super chat, Reptile guys. How's it going, man? I appreciate you. He says, Merry Christmas. You've been on fire lately. Keep up the good work, man, and take care of your family. We're all in this fight together. God bless you. And I really appreciate the encouragement, man. Just knowing that we're all in this fight together is what gives me the motivation to keep trying to get the word out. And like, I'm not going to like really teach you guys anything new that you didn't already know. But I think it is important that we stay encouraged and we remember our fundamentals and our foundations, because when you're under duress, when you're under times of pressure, you know what people do? And this applies if you're in a gunfight. This applies if you're fighting to save this country, this republic. You always default back to your lowest education, your lowest common denominator. And I think if we can get these founding documents for our encouragement, just ingrained in our heads so much that we truly believe in them, even a tenth as much as George Washington did when he crossed the Delaware against the largest armed forces in the world during a pandemic. Outgunned, outmanned, out everything, and still won. If we can even have a small fraction of the belief and the knowledge of the foundation of this country, when SHTF, if we default back to that, we might be all right. Because that's what the founding fathers defaulted back to. That's all they had. That's all they had, is they said, no, we've been oppressed too long. It's been tyrannical too long. So that's what I do to encourage you guys. I'm just reminding you. Don't get excited, guys. I'm not pretty, but I guess I'm just trying to be your cheerleader. I don't have pom-poms, okay? But we just had a victory the other day. You guys should be very happy about that. Take that energy. Good energy is good for you. Your body secretes hormones, and it affects your physical health when you're sad, when you're stressed, when you're pissed. Now, the good news is when you're happy, those release positive chemicals in your body that makes you healthier and makes you happier, and you can use those to rub off on other people. And here's what I've noticed in life. Maybe some of you guys, hopefully you guys have experienced the same thing. The more encouraged you are and the happier you are, you just tend to find yourself around all these great, wonderful people, and you're encouraging them while they're coming back and simultaneously encouraging you. And that's what we need to do right now. You guys can do whatever you want. If it's somebody that you think you can, try to win them over. If not, outright ignore them. But when the guy comes in the comments and says, go ahead and just take all the polymer 80s because I'm a 1911 guy, don't let it get you down. I mean, you can shake your head and say, yeah, that's sad. You can also say, no wonder we're in the place that we are right now. And that's fine to think that too, because it's true. But don't let it get you down. I'll tell you what, I read like some days when I'm getting a lot of views on videos, there's 1,000 comments that come into this channel in a day, if not more. And I'll be reading through them and it'll say, dude, who cares? Glocks are stupid. Who cares? Blah, blah, blah. Who cares? Blah, blah, blah. And then there'll be one person that's like, no, dude, you're right. This is BS. I don't even own one, but we need to all get in the fight right now because we can't let them go down this slippery slope. We need to get involved. Come on, people. And then I read it and I say, all right, the video was worth doing, and the next video I do, that's going to be worth doing too. This is the internet. This is the place where we all can encourage each other, but it's also like this cesspool of just like these people that are just so miserable and pissed off with themselves that they want to just piss you off and bring you down at the expense of losing our whole country. And I would encourage you guys not to hang out with people like that. I mean, somebody's got to do it. Maybe you can go in there and try to change a few of them, but at a certain point, it's like, so long, sucker. I've got gun rights to save. I have God-given unalienable rights to save. And there's some really, really good people on that side, both in real life that you're going to meet on the street, people that you already know, and also on the internet, because I'm looking at the comments right now and I'm seeing all kinds of good, encouraging people in here. There's one that encourages me right there. She's totally awesome and quite cute too, I might add. Hey, Linda, how you doing? Cave Dave, what's happening, man? He's been offering encouragement and hanging out here for a long time. Finding encouragement in his family. Best Christmas ever. Awesome. Blue Girl in NC, another good one. How you doing? We had tornadoes. Ooh. It's like this crazy snowstorm here. It wasn't even like predicted, and it just keeps snowing. And it keeps snowing, and it keeps snowing, right? Then there's this one here. So I did a video on we can't find ammo, like a totally depressing topic. She comes in, leaves a comment, found her channel. I'm like, look at this girl. She's new into guns, got into guns during the pandemic, right? She's out there on the range. She's shooting. She's having fun. She's a patriot. Now she's like one of my best friends. So tap rock and roll. How you doing? Merry Christmas. I'm glad to see you here. And I hope a lot of you guys are meeting good friends right now. I know a lot of you guys thoroughly enjoy her channel. And if you're not familiar, I definitely recommend it. Her last video was awesome. And actually all of her videos are. Here's another one offering me encouragement. Threaded for my pleasure. How you doing, man? 21 is our year. You know, I was just texting a good friend of mine. We were just texting each other that last night, weren't we? They're watching right now. They know who they are. We're like, you know what? 2020 totally sucked, but we got encouragement from each other, and we're going to kick some butt in 2021. And me and you are too, Threaded for My Pleasure. You know, we were down there in Monroe County, right? 2A sanctuary counties. I did some videos talking about it, and some people showed up, including my man right here. And gosh, life just gets in the way so much. We were supposed to meet up a dozen times this summer, weren't we? We still need to meet up again, dude. But yeah, he came there, man. He put his money where his mouth was, and some of you guys in the chat did too. And that offered me the encouragement to get up there and speak in front of the commissioners, to raise public awareness by doing my little videos. And yeah, and it did pass too. Monroe County is a 2A sanctuary county, as well as Livingston County and almost the whole state of Michigan now. Totally awesome. Yeah. Agent Brian Terry, Marine, that makes him my brother. Are you pissed off about that? You should be pissed off about that. It's okay. It's okay to remember that. When they say we need to take the guns off the streets, well, you're the ones that put a bunch of them on there. Yeah, he was from a small town of Flat Rock, Michigan. A town that I know quite well, and it shook up the local community. And once a Marine, always a Marine, right? It shook up all the Marines and hopefully the American people that learned about that. I'm sure there's a lot more to it we didn't even learn, but even what came out and all the congressional investigations, yeah. Isn't it literally insane? Just think about this. And it's okay. When you see something that's insane, you can just call it insane, because it is. We need to keep the guns off the streets. All right. But then the federal government gives guns to, I mean, that's not all right. I was being sarcastic. Not all right, but in their mind, get the guns off the streets to save one life. Okay, but we'll give them, sell them, facilitate them to the most violent criminal organizations that are like, no matter what, 100% certain to take life if they get these guns. Yeah, that sounds about right, actually. Sounds like something the government would do all the time and have done. And one more thing I want to add, and this is encouragement too, and this is just another pat on the back to you all, where we did a job well done, because I just got done talking about the Declaration of Independence, right? And I talked about Lexington and Concord and the shot heard around the world. And that is how this country was formed, but they tried really hard. They tried hard to use diplomacy, and they wrote letters to the king. And they tried all of that. And that is why this is actually a victory, because this was us writing letters, and this was your congressman writing letters. And so many of you in the comments said that you're ready to boogie right now. You said, let's just start the boogie up and let's go. It's go time. And maybe it is. That's not for me to decide. I'm not George Washington, okay? I'm not commanding any troops. I'm not applying for that job either. But when you think about the Branch Davidians, you think about the ATF further, and you think about Ruby Ridge and Randy Weaver and his beautiful wife that was coming out of the house holding an infant baby, and I'd rather our 90 us to motivate 90 congressmen, okay, to write a letter. Look, guys, I'm cock-locked and ready to rock. I've got my go bag. I've got my this. I've got my that. I'd sure as heck rather write a letter and have that win and have us pressure our congressmen than I would have to be reminded of Mrs. Weaver and their beautiful family. Look at all the beautiful people in this chat and your families. I don't want to hear about Ruby Ridge Part 2 at your house. You know, with today being Christmas, the Bible says there's times for peace and there's times for war, and there's times that they say to turn your plowshares into swords, and then there's times they say to turn your swords back into plowshares. We're always going to have to fight. The second this country started, we were in a fight to maintain this experiment on self-governance. A government that was instituted amongst men to protect our natural God-given rights. And we knew it would be a struggle. It was acknowledged before the country was even officially founded that men are not angels. Of course, we're always going to have to fight. But the fight includes many things. And some fights are going to be more brutal than others. Some are going to have better outcomes. We're going to win some. We're going to lose some. But when we do win, we should be happy about it. And when you meet a fellow new patriot, you should be happy about that and encouraged by that. Because I'll tell you what, we already know there's going to be 10 Fuds over there. I'd sure as heck rather have, Pillbox Bunker, Joe Morgan, Tap Rack and Roll, Scotty Knuckles. I'm just looking at some of the good people in the chat. I'd sure rather have a few of you guys by my side than none at all. So while there's a lot to complain about, and we should complain and we should be mad, there's also a lot to be encouraged about. And I hope you guys can stay encouraged. A lot of you, it looks like it's with your family. Your family's offering you encouragement, which is totally awesome, and it should. Some people are somehow, they're discouraged. They're like, I am a Second Amendment supporter, and I am totally ticked off that we won this small little battle skirmish with the Department of Justice at its ATF. And I'm like, really? I'm not ticked off. Like, it's okay to be happy sometimes, isn't it? We need to remember that. It is okay. JB and Water 2 says, now we are in the fight of our lives. Well, that's true. I would say we've always been in the fight of our lives, though. I mean, if you look, the first gun I bought was 94 earlier in the year. It was just a few months later, and I watched the AWB, the Clinton AWB, the Bill Barr Clinton AWB. Bill Barr was totally supportive. Go back and look at the old Senate hearings where Bill Barr, the Attorney General, was up there in front of testifying for gun control when he was under Bush. Then the Clinton administration came in. Bill Barr wanted the AWB really bad. This isn't just a Republican-Democrat thing. I hate to tell you guys this. They're all almost all of them are after our guns. But no, I was just a new gun owner. I was a young man and teenager, right? Not even technically a full-grown man yet. Bought my first SKS. And then all of a sudden, I was like, well, what do you mean you can't buy more than a 10-round mag for it a few months later? Like, what's that even mean? And then I knew people that were older than me that had Glock pistols, and they're like, oh my gosh, a Glock 19 standard capacity mag. 15 rounds, Glock 17, 17-round mags. They're worth $150 now. I'm like, well, how can they do that? They can't just ban that. I was learning quick, wasn't I? And it's kind of crazy. Here I am, 26 years later saying they can't do it, guys. They can't do it. The founding documents prohibit them, but they're still trying and they're still doing it. So, yeah. Yeah, guys, I get it. Times are rough. But I like to win a little bit too. I really do. The Reptile guy says, I hope everyone thinks before they act. I believe we have a lot of false flag events in the near future. Think about what's going on before we act. I believe things are going to get serious quick. People should always think what they act. And we have to always question everything. Just because somebody's a conservative or they're on a news station we like, you still have to sit back and think for yourself. Because I think I know what the Reptile guys is getting at. There's people on both sides that like to create trouble and pandemonium. Because I talked about at the beginning of the stream, those of you just joining, I put out videos. The ATF has rated Polymer 80. Hundreds of thousands of views. They're not going to homes. Hundreds of thousands of views. It's true. The ATF, Fed Boy gets into it with Columbus PD. Couple 100,000 views. Thanks for watching, guys. That's awesome. But then I put out victory. We have victory and we should be encouraged. The Department of Justice has rescinded. We want a small victory right now. 3,000 views. Here's what that tells me. Of course, bad news and fear sells, and all these big media companies that are into scaring you to make a buck, all these politicians that are into scaring you to try to perpetuate their power over you. You have to be able to think for yourself and think above and beyond some of that, because there's tons of that going on both sides. It could be with the conservative news station that you might really like. Well, they have, as they would say, bills to pay. They have billions of dollars they want to make in profit. All of these people want to be the richest man in the world when it's all said and done, at least in my opinion. That's what it appears, right? So yeah, definitely think for yourself. Republicans have put in probably more. If not, it's pretty darn close, but it's probably more meaningful gun control. I'll say it's definitely more than the Democrats have. That's a proven fact. So, yeah. I know that's not exactly what your comment said, but I think it has something to do with all that, right? Who have we got in here? VA Wolf is amazing, and he left a couple nice comments for us that if you didn't see him yet, I'll direct them your way, Tap Rack. He's doing a lot. You know, he's a big grassroots guy, really, really getting involved. VCDL, it's called. Virginia Citizens Defense League in Virginia. There's a fight that's so huge. If I say huge, that doesn't even give it justice down there. And I know my man VA Wolf's been doing a lot down there. I don't know if John Crump's still here. He's definitely been doing a lot with the GOA and the local chapter for sure. Probably be a lot of you down there in Virginia. Mark Taylor, we need to stand together or hang separately, and that's absolutely true. See, I go on a 15-minute rant. This is what I'm famous for, and then all of a sudden, a guy like this comes in here. I should give him the camera and the microphone. It takes me 15 minutes. And that's basically what I was saying. We need to stand together or hang separately. I agree, man. Here's another way to word it. Be the ball. Yep, that's a saying that has quite a bit of wisdom in it in and of itself, actually. We have Alaskan Ballistics in the house. What's happening, man? Another good channel I definitely recommend. Been friends with him on here for a while. Good dude, too. Nice to see you, Alaskan. Alaskan will tell you how it is, too. He doesn't care. He'll say, hold on, guys. Hold on. The Republicans aren't saving us either. Are they, Alaskan Ballistics? What's VA Wolf doing here? Oh, he's left a nice comment here. He says at Tap Rock and Roll, you continue to be you, and you will go far as you have and will continue to. I'm really impressed with you. Have a happy and safe Christmas, my new friend. Thank you, really. I agree with that. My name is 2AEDU, and I approve this message. If I become president of the United States, she's coming to the White House with me, VA Wolf. She's going to be my Hope Hicks, but actually a better one. She's probably even smarter than Hope Hicks, if you can believe that. It's actually true. What are you guys talking about in here? Yeah, I agree. CS92 says, an armed society is a polite society. Yes, it is. And there's like statistical proof of that. Look at Virginia. They passed the gun control laws. And there's more violent crime? Oh, imagine that. Wow. Give yourselves a little pat on the back, all you guys that have been saying this the whole time. More gun control, more violent crime. Yeah, duh. And here we are, just doing our regular jobs, working our 9 to 5. We're not smart enough to be a senator or a representative. Psst. Jeez, I guess the things you learn, right, when you don't go to Harvard and Yale Law School. They went to Harvard and Yale Law School, and they said, we'll put in gun control. And all of us little plebes said, yeah, and there'll be more violent crime. And then look what happened. The assembly, with combined college degrees of 1 million years worth of Harvard, Yale, Princeton, and many others. And we're all just sitting there out plowing snow and driving truck and doing all the stuff you guys do. And we're like, how stupid are you people? And then the stats come out and it's like, yep, they were just as stupid as we thought they were, weren't they? It's kind of funny. I think so anyways. All right. We were talking about the ammo shortage in the title too. Do you guys need some more good news in between, or do you just want me to go right to the bad news? Ammo shortage 2020. I've been talking about this for months now. I said it's not going to get better anytime soon. Unfortunately, I wanted to be so wrong on this, but unfortunately, I keep getting proven right. It keeps getting worse. The prices are going up. Now, some of the local shops here and there, You'll still get it. You have to wait outside, sleep out in a tent, wait till they open up, run in the door, buy 3 boxes. I encourage you all to do it however you need to get it. That's awesome. But as a whole, if you just want to go buy 9 mil right now, you're looking at like $550 to $600 for 1,000, plus shipping, plus tax in some states, plus FFL, right? And I knew it was going to continue to get worse just because of the common principle that people just don't trust the government. And whether they support police or not, they know that even if there's great cops that are right down the road, that when seconds matter, cops are only minutes away, and that them and their family could already be dead by then. So we've had, they say, 7 million new gun owners. Now, that's what they say. I think it's actually much more than that in 2020. Now, if each person, 7 million new gun owners, now that's the conservative end. I think it's probably double that or even more, to be honest with you. I'd say more like 15, 20 million. I'm going to go back to a conservative number. 7 million new gun owners. And let's say at the bare minimum, the average new gun owner buys 100 rounds. Okay? 7 million, 100. That's 700 million new rounds of ammunition that just got put on as demand against the already weakened supply. There's this plague, there's this whatever of China, from China. We have reduced workforces. We have certain places where they're shutting them down. Whitmer, she calls lock it down, right? Newsom, other states. God bless you, California people, Michiganders, and so many of these other states. These governors are nuts, but they're affecting some of the supply of the ammo. No doubt. They have to have what they call it social distancing and this and that. And so even if supply would have stayed the same, just the demand alone would have made stuff go insane, right? Just from the new gun people alone. Now, let's flip it around. It's not the same, though. The supply has actually been diminished, too, while we have all these new gun owners. 7 million new gun owners, 100 rounds per, 700 million rounds. Bam. That's huge. Now, I think it's way different than that. I think it's like 15, 20 million new gun owners, and I think they're buying more than 100 rounds each. They're buying like 1,000 rounds on average each. Now, let's take all the current gun owners that we've already had, and I read it every day in the comments, and people that I talk to on the street, you know, people I know around here. I don't know anybody that hasn't been buying as much as they can all summer long and on into the winter. So, of course, there's an ammo shortage. Now, is the federal government, Fed boys, agencies, military, all these, are they buying extremely large contracts? Yes. To an extent, they do provide their military contracts before they do to civilians, but it's not black and white like that. Look, my person at Federal I've talked to, they said, no, yes, we do provide the Leo government, but we actually have separate loadings that we make that's actually just for civilians, and we're still making those too. So are they going to completely stop fulfilling the federal contracts? No, they're still going to fulfill those. And I don't mean federal ammo. I mean federal government in this case. State Leo, county Leo, all that. Yeah, they're going to keep filling that. It might be an easy answer. It might be fun because there's a little conspiracy theorist in all of us to say the federal government is buying 100% of the ammo so that we can't get any. That's fun to talk about. Does it mean I trust the government? Of course not. But sorry, guys, I don't think that's the case. Are they buying more than normal? And is it affecting the equation? Yes. But no, the federal government is not. I promise you this. Like, I have proof of this. The federal government is not buying 100% of the ammo, and they're not making one single round for civilians. It's just not true. It's patently false. I encourage you guys to reject people when they say that because it's just not true. Okay? Again, it's not black and white in the other way either. Of course, all of the increased federal police presence and local cops wanting to get all armed up for whatever they're planning on doing or who knows what they have planned right now. Just what we know of is scary enough, right? Yes, that's a factor, but there's 7 million at the minimum new gun owners buying minimum 100 rounds each. That's 700 million rounds. I think they're buying 1,000 rounds each. What do you guys think? I really do. I mean, I know some people that are new shooters that have already bought 10, 20,000 rounds just by themselves. Now we could be up to like a demand for 7 trillion new rounds. If people are buying 10,000 rounds a piece, whatever the math is, 700 billion, 7 trillion. I don't know. You guys can correct me if you're a statistician, but yeah. I know how people are because I'm like that too. Now, luckily for me, I bought a lot of ammo before it went sideways this last March. But I've bought ammo for what I call ripped off prices. I ripped myself off just to do reviews on some of this ammo and let you guys know that I'm buying it too. And I actually have some new ammo right over here that I got, quote, ripped off on, just like all the rest of you that I'm going to do a review on in the coming week. You know, people are still buying them for practice, defense. People are trying to fill up their basements with it. They're trying to fill up their garage, their bunker, their whatever. So, yeah. That's the deal. Now I'm not done yet. It's going to get a lot worse. A lot worse. Not just because people are, of all the things I said, everything there is true, but here's what really hit me. The stimulus bill, they call it, the omnibus, it includes so many things, right? They said $600, but they were giving all kinds of money to all this ridiculous stuff, and this has all been covered on a lot of channels. I'm not going to go down that because I'm about ready to get off, actually. Wow, it's almost been 2 hours. Time flies hanging out, having fun with you good people, by the way. It really does. I appreciate all of you. Look at 2 hours. It feels like you've been on here 5 minutes. Are you kidding me? Anyways, here's why it's going to get worse. They said 600. The president said, no. You get rid of the bloat, okay? You get rid of the bloat, $2,000. If they send out $2,000 stimulus checks, including and especially all the new gun owners, but also including and almost like especially like this is all like going to happen, trust me. All the gun owners, new, old, medium, whatever, they're going to run out and buy $2,000 worth of guns and ammo. You think it's bad now? Wait until they dump a bunch of money into the economy. Now, keep in mind, they're printing this money as we speak, trying to get this bill finalized. When the government prints money that it doesn't have, it's called inflation. So every dollar they print makes the dollar you currently hold, and even the dollars they're printing right now, and prospectively, it makes them weaker. So when there's a weaker dollar, and you have hardcore commodities, these are goods. These are elements of nature. You know, you have brass, you have copper, you have lead. Think about this. They're going to jack up and inflate the money by printing a bunch of it, okay? Even if there wasn't any increased demand, ammo would actually go up just like your loaf of bread and everything will go up. You can't just keep printing trillions of dollars. Like, there's no such thing as thin air. I'm not an economist, but I know that much about it. And I believe that most gun owners are going to take that $2,000. Now, let's say it's a family of 3. 2,000, maybe it'll be 6,000 for the little kid. Maybe there'll be less. Let's just say it was 5,000 for 3. I could see a lot of families saying, all right, 3,000 to catch up on bills, 2,000 in guns and ammo. Now, there's a lot of people that are on fixed incomes, Social Security, retirement, pension, otherwise. And they're telling me right now that, yeah, this sucks. These shutdowns suck, but they're actually doing just fine. They're making the same amount of money they always have. Well, him and her with their $4,000 retired couple, I could see them easily just dumping $4,000 right there, guns and ammo immediately. The new person that's like, oh my gosh, I just realized for the first time I'm responsible for my own safety, and we need to make sure these people are pro-freedom and love our God-given rights too, because them just buying guns isn't enough. So that's a reminder to all of you. We need to get a lot more of these new gun people to be true God-given rights and Second Amendment supporters. But I digress. Those people are like, holy crap, like I can't even buy like one box. I have people telling me, I bought my first gun. I can find no ammo. I don't have money to buy ammo. Like I have none, they said, or they could only afford one box. They get $2,000 in free money. I know people that are literally telling me, I don't care if I get evicted. People are literally telling me this, and I believe them. I do. They say, I don't care if I get evicted. Are you kidding me? I'm buying the ammo. There's people that'll buy ammo before they pay their rent. There's people that are going to pay their bills first and spend half their stimulus on the ammo. There's, like I said, retired, fixed income, independently wealthy, well-invested people. This is America, right? We have a whole gamut of people's financial situations. A lot of them are going to dump $4 or $5 grand right into it. Just boom. If it's $1,000 for 1,000 rounds of 9mm FMJ 115 grain, all right, here's $5,000, 5,000 rounds. So have you guys thought about that yet? There's a decreased supply, increased demand. People aren't getting less leery of the government as time goes on. They're getting more, so they're already buying more. And now there's a bunch of free money that's going to devalue current money you have just dumped in. And I think people are going to go crazy with it and just buy as much as they can. And there are some people, yeah, Red's right. Most poor folk, no offense, are not paying rent because the government gave them permission not to. Well, that's true. Look, there's a forbearance. They're not allowed to evict right now. It'll all catch up to them, though, and they'll be able to evict, and the government will buy the apartment buildings, and then we'll have state health care. We'll have state gun control, right? We'll have state housing. And then why do we need a stimulus at all anymore? How about a universal income? $2,000 is no longer enough. Why not give people $10,000, $20,000, give them $50,000? See where this is heading? We can't let this become a communist country, guys. But whatever. The stimulus is coming out. And I'm not saying that people don't need it. I'm not even arguing over whether it should or not. Just take it in this context. $2,000, if that's what ends up, you get checks. Remittance too. 2A EDU, $2,000. A lot of people are going to buy ammo with it. A lot. So I don't know. Guero M, how you doing, Guero? I'm going to get off in 2 seconds. I just want to say hi to some of my friends in here. And you guys are all awesome. If I didn't read your comment, it's just because there's more of you than me, you know? And a lot of people like to watch this show the next day. And I like to kind of keep stuff flowing so they can listen to it as a podcast. So those of you watching the next day, you can thank me now or later. They won't be able to thank me because, no, they'll thank me down in the comments. Just messing with you guys. Guerrero says, I find it kind of sad and stupid. The people buy guns and never shoot them. I can't go a week without breaking in a new gun. I totally get it. I'm on both sides, to be honest with you. I buy guns that they don't even make ammo for anymore because they're so old. 1800s, not technically legally firearms. I can't even find ammo for them. Would I like to get some for my Burdan rifle? Yeah, my French Gras rifle that you can actually see with gold brass colored bands right there behind me. I don't have ammo for those. Very, very hard to get. If there's any awesome custom reloaders and you want to wish 2A EDU a Merry Christmas and you know how to make the old French ammo and the old Russian ammo, let me know. Nah, I'm just joking. But so I get it. There's guns I buy just because I love the history of them. And I like to collect and enjoy history and the story that goes with them. But at the same time, I get something that's like a modern gun that's I can actually find ammo for. Yeah, I like to shoot them too. So I get both sides of it. Well, and they're going to cut out all the pork. That'll be... There's more pork in their Michigan Watch. How's it going, man? Than there is actual stimulus, right? That's a whole nother debate. I encourage an active debate in the chat on that. That's totally awesome. For purposes of this stream, though, I'm just saying, whether you agree with it or not, it does devalue the dollar somewhat, right? It might bring back the dollar later. That's fine. There's different economic standpoints on this. But at the very least, it devalues the dollar at the very least short term, maybe forever. And people just have tons of money to buy all the ammo they possibly can. And I think it's going to make it a lot worse. Reptile guys, thanks again, man. Merry Christmas. I appreciate the channel stimulus funds. He says, what are the stipulations we should include in the bill? Stop the lockdowns. And this is the last stimulus. Merry Christmas again. Well, Merry Christmas. Man, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how to write congressional bills. I'm nobody, dude. I'm just a dude that sits here and hangs out with my friends and wants to save the country. Really. Here's what we need to do. Go to Catherine Henry's website. The Restore Freedom Initiative. Unfortunately, the petition didn't pass this time, but it's going to continue. Look at her Restore Freedom petition. If one of the moderators has 2 seconds here to find a link to that, hold on, guys. I can do it. I'm being honest with you. This is something I would have you look because I'm not a constitutional attorney. but my friend Catherine Henry in Michigan is. And this was to be a ballot initiative, right, to amend the Constitution and put it on there. You might have to do a little clicking, guys, but I'm just going to send the root link right here. And then you guys can go down and find it on her page, the actual text. It's on there somewhere, trust me. Restore Freedom, KH. Hopefully that answers your question, seriously. I'm not just going to sit and ad lib and remember the exact wording of it, but yeah, the Restore Freedom Initiative. That's the best thing I've seen written that'll prevent lockdowns, not just like on its face right now, but prevent them again in the future. And this is a really good ballot initiative for all of these 50 states to help preserve, as the 10th Amendment says, right? Unless it's specifically enumerated, unless it's written down that the powers lie within the federal government, the remaining powers all belong to the states respectively and to the people. And in my opinion, it should be more like this. If 100% equals all of our rights, the government should have, not our rights are given to us by God. But what I meant by rights is the defending of the rights that are given to us by God. I want to be very specific on that. 1% should be defended by the federal government, right? Maybe 9% by the states, and then 90% should be the people. So when they say, unless it's specifically enumerated for the federal government, right, it belongs to the states and then to the people. Yeah, 1%, 9%, 90%. Maybe even less than that to the government. Other than that, look, I'm not a complete anarchist. Like, I get it, guys. I don't like government. I don't like big government. But yeah, roads, those are a good thing to have. I like having roads. Hospitals, those are good to have, sure. A standing army, yes, as long as the standing people's militia could overthrow it easily. As long as the people are more powerful than the standing army. And when I say army, I'm talking about back in the Continental days. I realize we have awesome branches besides literally the army. So, but yeah, it provides for us to have a standing army. I get it. Roads. Man, there's not a whole lot other than that, though, that we really need from them, that we couldn't do a lot more efficiently and effectively by ourselves. And don't forget, I'm going to leave you guys with this. You shouldn't necessarily hoard up ammo right now. Look, it already sucks. If you're buying it right now, you're already getting, quote, ripped off. I get it. Is this a call for me to tell you all to run out and buy all the ammo you can? No, I'm not saying that either. These are personal choices. I appreciate you guys not telling me how to spend my money, and I'm not going to tell you how to spend yours. But I don't think it's getting better. It ain't getting better anytime soon, guys. I don't think it is. I'm waiting for the stimulus to pour in. I'm waiting for, according to the Associated Press and Susan WikiWiki, who I'm not very happy with right now. She did something to me earlier today I do not like, however. They're saying a certain somebody will be sworn in on the inauguration. Right now, it's the 25th of December. January, we'll find out 100% sure. However, according to Susan, that's going to happen. And if that happens, there's going to be a panic just based on that. Meanwhile, this plague, this China, whatever, I call it the Kung flu. They say that's not going away. That's just going to keep getting worse, which is going to lead to more shutdowns of suppliers, manufacturers. They're going to pump a bunch of money into the economy. And I think many people are going to spend it all on ammo. Is that me telling you you have to spend your stimulus money on ammo? No. But if you're saying, I have none and I'm just going to wait. And I'm going to wait to buy it until January. I don't know. Look out. That's all I have to say. Look out. I think it's going to get a lot worse. And you know what's cool? Like, this is what I love here. And there's so many awesome conversations that are equal to, better than, whatever. This just caught my eye. You know, just reading this from my friend. She's talking to my other friend, V.A. Wolf, and safety and happiness back at you. And they're both happy. They're trying to find the best happiness they can right now in their lives. And these two are both fighters. I know both of these people personally. And I wouldn't vouch for them if I didn't know them. And man, these are the people we want on our side. And so many of you guys are. And they're finding happiness and encouragement. And I offer that encouragement to all of you. And I hope you guys really dig in there, offer some positive vibes. We need love. Love can conquer evil. It always has, and it always will, but you still have to be brave and you have to be strong. Don't let kindness be mistaken for weakness. Be as strong as you can, fight as hard as you can, love each other, encourage each other. Tap Rock and Roll, VA Wolf. All of you guys right here. Pillbox Bunker, Guero, Darth Yogi, Jim, skipping on me again, Old Coasty, Alaskan Ballistics, Mateo, JBM Water 2, Red, G23, White Space Marines, the Kung Flu Pandemic, he says. Yeah, and I'm going to go back, and this is the one that's right in front of me right now, but I'm going to go back, and I'm going to get off here so I can read all of you guys' beautiful comments from all the beautiful friends I have on here. And this is why I get encouraged doing these streams. Safety and happiness back at you, because if you have both, then what more do you really need, right? Hope, faith, love, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's it. So we need to all stand together and keep encouraging each other. It's going to get rough. It's going to get rough. But there's plenty more great times to be had, and let's enjoy those too, because those are just as important and probably the most important. All right, Merry Christmas, guys. I really appreciate you taking time out on your holiday to hang out with me and the encouragement that all of you have offered me. All right, thanks for watching, and have a good one.